From disaster to done.
East Texas Restoration Report. From disaster to done.
So it's like 2:00 a.m.
Never a good time.
Right. You are standing in your kitchen, but it doesn't sound like your kitchen at all. It actually sounds like a waterfall.
Oh, that is just the worst sound in the world.
It really is. Water is actively pouring through the recessed lighting fixtures in your ceiling. It's cascading down your cabinets, and it's just pooling right around your ankles.
Just a total nightmare scenario.
Completely. The drywall is sagging, the paint is bubbling, and in that exact second, every single evolutionary instinct in your body is screaming at you to pull out your phone.
Yep, fight or flight kicks right in.
Exactly. You frantically type water damage repair into Google, and you just want to call the absolute first person who promises to be in your driveway in like 10 minutes.
Which is completely understandable, given the panic.
It is. But today, we are going to tell you exactly why making that panic phone call might just be the single most expensive, catastrophic mistake of your entire life. Welcome to the Deep Dive.
I'm really glad we're doing this because, it is the ultimate nightmare scenario for any property owner.
Yeah, nobody wants to be in ankle-deep water at 2 a.m.
Absolutely not. And what we are doing today is systematically deconstructing the psychology and, the actual mechanics of that specific moment of panic.
Right, because it's not just about wet floors.
No, not at all. The goal isn't just to talk about water or fire damage. The mission here is to equip you with an unbreakable mental framework.
So you have a plan before it happens.
Exactly. So that when you are thrust into that high-stakes, low-information environment, you can actually bypass your own panic response. You can make a decision that saves your property rather than destroying it.
And to do that, we are tearing into some incredibly sharp source material today. We're looking at excerpts from a highly focused industry guide.
It's a great piece of text.
It really is. It's titled Restoration Readiness: Mastering the Vendor Selection Process. And specifically, we are anchoring our entire discussion around one module.
Module 3. Right.
Yeah, episode 3, Before You Call a Restoration Company. And the premise of this module is it's almost cruel in its logic.
Cruel but necessary.
Right, because it is demanding that you force a pause right when your brain is demanding immediate, frantic action.
It is completely counterintuitive. I mean, every fiber of your being wants to act.
Just fix it, right? Just plug the hole.
Yeah. But that forced pause is the only thing standing between recovery and total ruin.
Wow. Total ruin.
Really. Our objective with this material is to help you navigate the hidden complexities of crisis timing. We are going to expose very specific vendor red flags, things that actually look like green flags to a panicked mind.
That's the scary part, the things that look good but are actually traps.
Exactly. And we're going to break down why demanding total process transparency is like your only real leverage in this situation.
Okay, to set the stakes for this, there is one chilling insight from this text that completely blew my mind.
I know exactly which line you're going to say.
Yeah. It's going to act as our North Star for the next hour. The text simply states, the wrong call early creates bigger problems later.
Such a powerful sentence.
It's just one sentence, but when you really chew on it, it completely flips the paradigm, doesn't it?
It really does. It takes emergency restoration from this reactive, scrambling mindset where you just want to plug a hole and turns it into a highly strategic operation.
So walk me through that, because when I see water, I think the water is the disaster.
Right, and the word catalyst is crucial here. When you are standing in ankle-deep water, your brain tells you the water is the enemy. It is the disaster.
It's ruining my floors.
Yeah, but this insight is warning you that the water is merely the initial catalyst, the actual long-lasting disaster, the one that bankrupts you or, displaces your business for an entire year, could very well be the person you blindly invite into the building to fix it.
Oh man, that is a terrifying thought.
It is. If you make the wrong call early, you are introducing a chaotic variable into an already fragile system.
Okay, so let's really talk about that specific vulnerability. Why is that first call uniquely dangerous?
Well, it sets the trajectory for the entire recovery process.
Because I think most people, myself included, assume that if the first guy you hire messes up, you just fire him. You fire him and hire a second guy.
If only it were that simple.
Right. But the text is implying that the early phase is an actual trap that you can't easily escape.
To understand why it's a trap, You really have to look at the intersection of human psychology and building science.
Okay, let's start with the psychology part.
So the early call phase triggers what we call a massive amygdala hijack.
Amygdala hijack. Okay, break that down for me.
The amygdala is the part of your brain responsible for processing fear and threatening stimuli.
A lizard brain.
Exactly. Whether it's your family home or like a commercial space you've poured your life savings into, watching it actively deteriorate triggers a primal physiological threat response.
So your body is literally reacting like it's under physical attack.
Precisely. Your heart rate spikes, your peripheral vision narrows, and your cognitive function, your actual ability to reason and weigh options, just completely plummets.
You essentially revert to a caveman trying to escape a tiger. Except, the tiger is a burst plumbing manifold.
That is a great way to put it. It's pure fight or flight.
And in the context of a flooded house, flight doesn't mean running out the front door, right?
No, you can't just run away from your mortgage.
Right. It means delegating the terror. You just want to hand the anxiety over to someone else as fast as possible.
That is the absolute core vulnerability right there. You want the psychological relief of knowing someone is handling it.
Just take it off my plate.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this creates an extreme state of desperation that completely overrides any sense of due diligence. You aren't thinking about the structural integrity of your subfloor.
Or reading the fine print on a contract.
Exactly. You aren't thinking about your insurance policy's burden of proof either. You are only thinking about making the scary noises and the rushing water stop.
Here's how I visualized this when I was reading the source material. It really helped me ground the concept.
Oh, I love a good analogy. Let's hear it.
Making this choice in a panic is like trying to pick a specialized cardiovascular surgeon out of a phone book while you are actively bleeding out on the pavement.
Oh, that is vivid.
Right. Your only criterion in that moment is who answers the phone first. But picking a surgeon based on their phone etiquette rather than their medical degree is a terrifying way to make a life-altering decision.
It's terrifying. And I'd actually take that analogy a step further.
Really? How so?
Because a bad surgeon just fails to save you. A bad restoration vendor actively accelerates your demise.
Oh, wow. They make it actively worse.
Yeah. It's more like, imagine you have a minor annoying virus on your computer.
Okay. Annoying but fixable.
Right. So you panic and hand it over to an inexperienced IT guy who just happens to be walking by.
The first guy I see.
Exactly. He doesn't know how to quarantine the virus, so he just confidently reformats your entire hard drive and deletes 10 years of irreplaceable data.
Oh, no. So the cure was worse than the disease?
Precisely. The initial problem was bad, but the fix was catastrophic.
Oh, that makes my stomach drop just thinking about it.
It happens every day in the restoration industry.
So when the text says the wrong call creates bigger problems later, we aren't just talking about, the carpet staying wet for an extra day.
Not at all.
We are talking about irreversible secondary destruction. Walk me through the actual mechanics of that. How does a bad vendor physically make a flooded room worse?
Let's look at the actual building science. Water is incredibly insidious. The moment it hits the floor, it doesn't just sit there waiting for you to clean it up.
Right, it spreads.
It engages in something called capillary action.
Capillary action, like how trees pull water up from their roots.
Exactly the same principle. It wicks up into the drywall, it travels under the baseboards, it seeps into the structural sill plates, and it penetrates the subfloor.
So it's moving up and into the actual bones of the house.
Yes. Now, an incompetent vendor, the guy you called in a panic who just wants to make a quick buck, shows up, he throws a few loud fans in the middle of the room, extracts the visible puddles, and tells you it's all handled.
And to the untrained eye, the room looks dry, the panic subsides.
Exactly. It's the optical illusion of dryness.
The optical illusion of dryness. I like that phrase.
It's a dangerous illusion. Because they didn't understand the science of drying, they left 80% of the moisture trapped inside the structural cavities.
Hidden completely behind the walls.
Yes. So, week one, you think you're fine. But behind the paint, the trapped moisture is fundamentally changing the microclimate of your wall cavity.
It's turning into a greenhouse in there.
A dark, damp greenhouse.
Right.
By week three, you have stachybotrys, charterum black, mold colonizing the interior framing.
Oh, black mold. That's the really bad stuff.
It is. Now, instead of a standard water mitigation job, you have a massive toxic biological hazard that requires demolition, negative air containment, and hundreds of thousands of dollars to remediate.
So they didn't just fail to mitigate the water. They literally cultivated a brand new, vastly more dangerous environmental crisis.
They turned a wet wall into a biohazard. And that's just the physical side of the equation.
Wait, there's more.
Oh, yeah. We haven't even touched the liability and financial variables yet.
The insurance side of things.
Right. If a vendor rushes in without a proper process and arbitrarily starts demolishing walls without documenting the initial damage, they are actively destroying evidence.
Evidence for the insurance claim.
Yes, they destroy the exact evidence your insurance company needs to actually process the claim.
How common is that, really?
We see this constantly. A business owner hires a fast, cheap vendor. The vendor guts the building, hands the owner a $50,000 invoice, and just vanishes.
50 grand. And then what happens?
Then the insurance adjuster arrives. They see a gutted building with no photographic proof of the original water line, no moisture logs, and they deny the entire claim.
On what grounds?
Due to what they call spoliation of evidence.
Wait, really? The insurance company can just walk away because the vendor threw away the wet drywall too fast?
Happens every single day.
That is insane.
It's the harsh reality of insurance contracts. Insurance policies require the insured to prove their loss. If your vendor destroys the proof in their rush to look busy, you are out of luck.
You were left entirely out of pocket for a disaster you thought was covered.
Exactly. So the vendor's incompetence didn't just ruin your walls, it potentially bankrupted you.
That reframes this entire conversation for me. The critical window of time here isn't the timestamp of when the pipe actually broke.
No, the disaster already happened. You can't rewind the clock on the pipe breaking.
Right. The real defining window of vulnerability is that agonizing 30-second gap where you are holding your phone, staring at the water, and deciding who to invite into your home.
That is the most dangerous sliver of time in the entire crisis life cycle.
30 seconds that determine the next year of your life.
In that 30-second window, you still hold all the leverage. You still control the environment.
Because nobody has touched anything yet.
Exactly. The absolute second you invite an unvetted, incompetent vendor onto the premises and sign their authorization form, everything changes.
You hand over the keys to the kingdom.
You surrender all of your leverage, all of your control, and potentially your financial future to a total stranger.
Okay, so if we understand that the initial call is a literal minefield, we have to look at how we actually navigate it.
And that requires a massive shift in mindset.
Because almost always, the only metric we use to navigate an emergency is speed.
Right. How fast can you get here?
Exactly. We prioritize velocity over absolutely everything else.
Which, given the amygdala hijack we just discussed, makes total evolutionary sense. Speed feels like the direct antidote to panic.
Right. If I'm scared, getting help fast makes me feel less scared.
Naturally.
But this is where the source material drops a massive counterintuitive roadblock.
Yes, the equal response concept.
Exactly. The text states, not all response is equal. And I really have to push back on this on behalf of everyone listening, because when you are standing in a crisis, this sounds like academic nonsense.
I get that. It sounds like something a professor would say, not a guy with a bucket.
Right. If my living room is rapidly becoming an indoor swimming pool, I don't care about an equal response. I care about buckets. I care about stopping the bleeding.
You want action.
Yes. If Guy A can be in my driveway in 10 minutes and Guy B says it'll take an hour, why wouldn't I default to Guy A? Every minute the water sits there, the capillary action you just described is getting worse, right?
Your logic is sound based on the visible evidence, but it conflates two entirely different concepts.
Which are?
Physical presence and effective mitigation.
Okay, break that down.
The flaw in prioritizing raw speed is that a fast response is utterly meaningless if the responder doesn't arrive with the right strategy.
So just standing there doesn't fix it.
Right. They need the right equipment and a fundamental understanding of the pathology of the crisis.
Okay, I need a concrete example of this. Break down the difference between physical presence and effective mitigation. Give me a real-world scenario where the 10-minute guy actually makes it worse.
Okay, let's talk about the different categories of water damage, because this is where the speed illusion becomes literally lethal.
Lethal. Okay, I'm listening.
The industry categorizes water based on its level of contamination.
Like how dirty it is.
Exactly. Category 1 is clean water, like a broken supply line to your kitchen sink.
Annoying, but just water.
Right. Category 2 is gray water, like discharge from a washing machine or dishwasher. It has some contaminants, some soap, maybe some mild bacteria.
Gross, but not the end of the world.
Exactly. But then we have category 3. This is black water.
Black water sounds ominous.
It is. This is raw sewage backup, floodwaters from a river, or standing water that has begun to biologically amplify. Category 3 water is teeming with pathogens, rotavirus, E. coli, heavy metals, you name it.
Okay, so a Category 3 situation is essentially a hazmat zone.
It is a literal biohazard. Now let's apply your scenario. You have a Category 3 sewage backup in your finished basement.
Gross. And I panic.
You panic, and you call the 10-minute guy. He shows up in record time with a couple of basic shop vacuums and some high-speed commercial air movers.
Because he wants to dry the floor fast.
Right. He doesn't ask what kind of water it is. He just wants to look busy to justify his invoice. So he extracts the standing sewage with his vacuum and then turns on those high-speed air movers to dry the floor.
Wait, he turns on high-speed fans in a room covered in raw sewage bacteria.
Precisely. And by doing so, he has just weaponized your own property against you.
Oh my God.
Those fans agitate the settled pathogens. They are aerosolizing the E. coli and the toxic particulate directly into the air.
He's blowing sewage into the air.
Yes. And if your HVAC system is running, he has just sucked that aerosolized biohazard into your ductwork. He is actively blasting it into every single room in your house, including your baby's nursery and your kitchen.
That is horrifying.
So his speed didn't mitigate your risk. It amplified it exponentially.
Because he didn't know what he was doing.
Right. While he was busy aerosolizing sewage across your entire home, you could have waited an extra 45 minutes for a highly trained team.
And what would they have done differently?
They would have arrived, recognized the Category 3 status immediately, and set up polyethylene containment barriers. They would have established negative air pressure to trap the spores and donned proper personal protective equipment before ever touching the water.
They would have treated it like a crime scene, basically.
Like a biohazard laboratory.
That perfectly illustrates the concept. The 10-minute guy provided an optical illusion of progress.
Illusion of mitigation.
You got the dopamine hit of seeing a van pull up, so your panic subsided. But the actual physical destruction of your property was compounding invisibly because he had absolutely no methodology.
That is exactly what the text means by an unequal response. It feels good because someone is there, making noise, moving things around, but they lack the substance of an actual solution.
This connects directly to the vendor red flags the source material warns about. How do we spot the 10-minute guy before he even gets in the driveway?
The ultimate red flag is how they handle that initial phone call.
What should we be listening for?
If you call a restoration company and their entire pitch revolves around their velocity, if they just keep repeating, "We have a truck in your neighborhood, we can be there in 5 minutes," but they don't ask you any technical questions.
Questions about the water itself.
Right. If they don't ask about the source of the water, the age of the building, or the visible materials affected, you need to hang up the phone immediately.
Because they aren't diagnosing the problem, they're just trying to secure the sale.
Exactly. Think about how emergency medical dispatch works. If you call 911, the dispatcher doesn't just yell, "We're sending someone," and hang up the phone.
No, they keep you on the line and ask a ton of questions.
They ask a rigorous series of triage questions. Is the patient breathing? Are they conscious? What is their approximate age?
They need data to make a decision.
They do this to ensure they are dispatching the correct resources: a fire engine, an ambulance, or police. A professional restoration operation does the exact same thing.
They triage the house.
They triage the crisis over the phone to determine the methodology required. If their only promise is speed, they are an opportunistic responder, not a strategic restorer.
So if raw speed is actually a massive vulnerability, how do we enforce order on this chaos? What should we be looking for instead?
We need to look for structure.
Right. Which brings us to the second major pillar of the source text, and this is an incredible quote. Speed without process creates risk.
That quote is the philosophical anchor of the entire guide. Speed without process creates risk.
Let's really unpack this concept of process transparency because the text leans heavily on it. But I have to be honest with you.
Go ahead.
Process transparency sounds like a piece of corporate jargon you'd hear in a boardroom. It's not something you think about when your ceiling is actively collapsed.
I completely agree. It sounds very sterile.
Right. In the mud and the water of a real-world disaster, what does process transparency actually look like?
It is the difference between an amateur guessing and a professional executing a verified protocol.
Okay, give me the street-level view of that.
In the field, process transparency means that before a vendor ever plugs in a piece of equipment or swings a hammer, they can clearly, confidently, articulate their step-by-step roadmap to you.
So they have to explain the plan.
Exactly. If you ask a vendor, what is your plan? And their answer is a dismissive, don't worry about it, we've done this a million times, we'll get in there and figure it out. That is the exact catastrophic risk the source is warning against.
They are essentially asking you for blind faith. And blind faith in an emergency is just a terrible strategy.
It's a gamble with your largest financial asset. Let's look at why the lack of a transparent process creates so much secondary risk, particularly when it comes to the economics of a disaster.
You mean the insurance stuff we talked about earlier?
Yes, we touched on insurance, but we need to go deeper into the mechanics of it. Insurance companies do not just hand out blank checks because you say your house got wet.
I wish they did, but yeah, they don't.
The entire claims industry is built around what is legally called the burden of proof.
Meaning I have to mathematically prove to the insurance company that the damage was sudden, accidental, and mitigated properly.
Yes. And to do that, you need a mountain of very specific scientific data. This is where process transparency becomes your financial shield.
Okay, so a professional has a process for gathering this data.
Exactly. A professional restoration company operates on the science of psychrometrics.
Psychrometrics, wow, okay, what is that?
It is the study of the thermodynamic properties of moist air.
So it's literally weather science inside your house.
It is. They don't just feel the carpet with their hands to see if it's dry. They take initial moisture readings of the affected materials, and they also take readings of the unaffected materials to establish a baseline.
Like a control group in a science experiment.
Precisely. They measure the ambient temperature and the relative humidity. They calculate things called vapor pressure and grain depression.
Grain depression, that sounds highly technical.
It is. They use these formulas to figure out exactly how many dehumidifiers are mathematically required to dry the space.
Because you can't just put one big fan in the room and hope for the best.
Right. And you also can't put too many. You don't want to cause secondary damage like cracking your expensive hardwood floors by overdrying them too quickly.
So it's a highly calculated mathematical equation, not a guessing game.
It is pure applied physics. And a professional vendor with a transparent process documents all of this data every single day.
They write it all down?
They create a daily drying log, a thermal moisture math of the structure, and a detailed equipment usage log.
Why go through all that administrative trouble?
Because when the insurance adjuster arrives a week later, the vendor hands them an airtight, mathematically verified packet as data.
And that data proves the claim.
It unequivocally proves the necessity of the work performed. The adjuster can seamlessly approve the claim because the process satisfied their burden of proof.
And what about the opportunist? The 10-minute guy operating on speed without process, what does he hand the adjuster?
The opportunist doesn't even know what vapor pressure is. They throw in a bunch of random equipment, leave it running for a week, tear out whatever looks ugly, and hand you a $30,000 bill scribbled on a generic invoice pad.
Just a handwritten receipt, basically.
Yes. And when you submit that to your insurance carrier, the adjuster asks for the moisture maps, the dry logs, and the psychrometric calculations to justify the $30,000.
And you have nothing to give them.
Absolutely nothing. The insurance company rejects the invoice as unsubstantiated, and you are legally on the hook to pay the vendor out of your own pocket.
That is absolutely brutal.
It ruins people financially.
So what does this mean for the listener? It means that process transparency isn't just a nice-to-have bonus like good customer service. It is the fundamental requirement of survival.
It is the only thing that protects you.
You have to demand the roadmap. If a vendor acts annoyed that you're asking questions, or if they treat their methodology like some proprietary trade secret, their presence is a huge liability.
When a vendor provides a transparent, documented process, they are implicitly inviting you to hold them accountable.
They are saying, watch us work.
Exactly. They are establishing a baseline standard and saying, measure us against this. That is how you enforce order on a totally disordered situation.
Okay, this all makes perfect logical sense sitting here in a calm recording studio.
It always does in theory.
Right. I need to demand process, I need to avoid the illusion of speed, and I need to avoid the opportunists. But here is the massive, unavoidable friction point in the real world.
The time crunch.
Yes. How on earth do I actually verify any of this when I have 30 seconds to make a decision? I can't interview a contractor for 3 hours while my commercial facility is flooding with black water.
You definitely cannot.
I don't have time to review their past moisture logs or audit their corporate training manuals. I need to make a phone call, like, now.
You have hit the exact crux of the dilemma. You desperately need certainty, but you have zero time to build trust organically.
The paradox of the emergency.
The system demands that you vet these companies, but the reality of the crisis completely removes your ability to do so.
Right. So how do I solve that paradox? What is the cheat code here?
This is where the final and really the most actionable concept from the source text becomes your absolute lifeline.
Okay, lay it on me.
Certifications.
Certifications. I'll be honest, when I read that in the text, my eyes completely glazed over for a second.
A lot of people have that reaction.
It just sounds so administrative, so bureaucratic. How does a piece of paper help me when I'm ankle deep in sewage?
I understand the gut reaction, but in the context of a hyper-compressed timeline, certifications aren't bureaucracy. They are an objective shield against incompetence.
An objective shield. I like that.
Think of certifications as compressed time. In the absence of a long vetting period, certifications serve as the verifiable shorthand for a vendor's commitment to the exact process and standards we've spent the last half hour discussing.
Okay, break that down for me. What kind of certifications are we talking about, and what do they actually prove? Because, anyone can print a certificate off the internet and put it on their website.
Oh, absolutely. There are fake certifications out there. We are looking for legitimate, third-party, internationally recognized accreditations.
Like what? What's the specific name?
In the restoration industry, the gold standard is the IICRC. That stands for the Institute of Inspection, Cleaning, and Restoration Certification.
ICRC. Okay, got it.
When you are looking for a vendor, you aren't looking for a self-appointed water damage expert. You are looking for a firm that is IICRC certified, specifically in areas like WRT, which is Water Damage Restoration Technician, or ASD, which is Applied Structural Drying.
Applied structural drying. And what does it actually take to get an ASD certification? Is it just like an online multiple choice test you take on a weekend? Because if it is, that doesn't make me feel much better.
Not at all. It is not an online quiz. Earning an Applied Structural Drying certification is incredibly rigorous.
Tell me about the training.
These technicians have to attend multi-day training courses that often take place in something called a flood house.
A flood house, like a simulator.
It is a literal, purpose-built residential structure built entirely inside a warehouse. And the instructors intentionally flood it with thousands of gallons of water.
They intentionally flood a fake house just to practice. That is wild.
Exactly. It has drywall, carpets, hardwood, subfloors, cabinets, everything a normal house has.
And they just ruin it.
They saturate it. The technicians then have to spend days physically extracting the water, taking psychrometric readings, mapping the moisture migration through different building materials, and deploying equipment.
So they actually have to do the math and the physical labor.
Yes. They have to achieve a mathematically verified dry standard within a set time frame. They are graded on their ability to understand the physics of evaporation, the limits of capillary action, and the strict protocols for documentation.
They can't fake it then.
No, they have to prove they understand the science in a tactile, real-world environment.
That is fascinating. So the certification is proof of reps. It's proof that this isn't their first rodeo and they aren't going to be practicing on my house.
Exactly. The certifying body has already done the 3-hour interview, the technical vetting, and the skill verification for you.
They've done the homework?
They have already asked the hard questions. So when you are standing in your flooded kitchen with 30 seconds to make a decision, you don't need to interview the vendor about vapor pressure.
Right. I just ask for the acronym.
You just need to leverage the authority of the IICRC.
So it acts as a binary gateway, a simple yes or no filter that you can apply in 5 seconds on a smartphone.
It is the ultimate separator. Before you look at their Google reviews, before you ask how fast they can get there, you look for the IICRC logo on their site, or you ask the dispatcher for their certification credentials.
It's the very first question.
Yes. It draws a hard, undeniable line in the sand between professional restoration operations and the two guys in a truck who bought a few fans at a hardware store and are trying to cash in on a local weather event.
The opportunists.
Exactly. If a company cannot provide verifiable proof of industry certifications, the conversation ends. Period.
No debate.
You don't argue, you don't compromise, you just hang up and call the next firm on the list.
It removes the emotion from the decision. You aren't deciding based on who sounds the friendliest on the phone or who promises to be there the fastest.
Which is how most people make the choice.
Right. You are applying an objective, emotionless filter to a highly emotional situation.
Which is exactly how you bypass the amygdala hijack we talked about at the beginning. You replace panic with protocol.
Replace panic with protocol. I absolutely love that. Bringing this all together, the entire mental framework the source material has laid out is incredibly elegant in its simplicity, even though it's designed to dismantle a very complex, chaotic environment.
It has to be simple to work in a crisis.
Right. The core mission is to avoid the primary danger, which is making the wrong call early.
Yes, and we avoid that danger through a specific sequence of logic.
First, we recognize that our instinct for raw speed is a trap.
Because an unqualified person arriving quickly only accelerates the destruction. They just make a mess faster.
Right. And knowing that, we use certifications as our first non-negotiable filter to ensure we are only dealing with verified professionals.
That's the gateway.
And once they pass that initial filter, we demand total process transparency before we sign anything or let them start swinging hammers. We force them to show us the roadmap.
That is the complete synthesis of restoration readiness. It is a defensive, highly strategic posture.
It really is.
By demanding certifications and process transparency, you force the chaotic environment of a disaster to conform to a professional, verifiable standard. You stop being a victim of the circumstance, and you take back control of your property.
It's incredibly empowering, honestly. We've gone on quite a journey today.
We covered a lot of ground.
We started in that visceral, terrifying moment of discovering water pouring through the ceiling. We explored the psychological traps of our own biology.
The lizard brain.
Yeah, and then we completely dissected the optical illusion of mere speed. We detailed the horrifying reality of weaponized HVAC systems and Category 3 biohazards.
Still gross to think about.
Definitely. But we finally arrived at the safety, control, and predictability provided by demanding a verified process and objective certifications.
And for anyone listening who has ever felt overwhelmed by the prospect of a property disaster, whether it's a pipe burst in your home or a massive fire in your commercial warehouse, realize that armed with this specific knowledge, the balance of power has completely shifted.
You aren't helpless anymore.
Exactly. You are no longer at the mercy of the first vendor who happens to answer the phone. You are now equipped to act as an informed, strategic project manager for your own property.
You know the rules of the game.
You know what questions to ask, you understand the underlying mechanics of the risk, and you know exactly how to dictate the terms of the engagement.
You've gone from reacting to the chaos to actually managing the recovery.
And if we step back and connect this hyper-specific industry knowledge to the broader human experience, this text raises an incredibly important question that extends far beyond property restoration.
Oh, I'm intrigued. What's the question?
I want you to consider this in whatever field you operate in. If speed without process creates risk, in the physical world of water mitigation and building science, where else in your life or your business are you prioritizing the comfort of an immediate response over the security of a verified process?
Oh, wow. That is a fantastic question to leave with.
Because the vulnerability we discussed today happens everywhere.
It really does.
We rush to hire an unqualified employee simply because a desk is empty and the workload is piling up.
Or we rush a project.
Right. We rush to launch a buggy software product because a quarterly deadline is looming. We choose the vendor who promises us the moon tomorrow instead of the professional who promises a structured, reliable, but slightly slower reality next week.
We fall for the illusion of speed everywhere.
Exactly. True readiness isn't just about knowing who to call when the literal pipes burst. It's about fundamentally changing how you define what a solution actually is.
What a great perspective.
A true solution permanently mitigates risk. It doesn't just offer the fleeting, dangerous illusion of speed.
That is something to truly sit with. Whether you are managing a multi-million-dollar commercial facility, leading a corporate team, or just trying to protect the drywall in your living room, taking the time to understand the underlying mechanics of these principles before the emergency strikes is the ultimate form of readiness.
You have to build the framework in peacetime.
Exactly. Yeah. Because when the water is rising and the panic sets in, your preparation is the only thing standing between recovery and total ruin. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, stay prepared, and we'll see you next time.